Hi guys, this is Thomas Garrett, and we are talking about resumes. So many people start with a template that's handed to them by somebody who apparently hasn't thought things through. Well, before you consider how you create your resume, there are things you need to know. Well, of course, you need to know what is the job. Now, I say of course, because that's a no-brainer to me, but how many of you have been sending the same resume to many different jobs? That's not smart. You remember we talked about ATS and how ATS is matching you to the job. Well, if your resume, you're trying to put everything possible on a resume that could apply to any job, right? Well, that's not good either. But we have to know what is the job. What are the desired capabilities? What skills are they asking for? How much experience do they want? And who is the reader? Now we have to know what we can know about that reader, and we'll get to that in a minute. And we can know a lot about the reader even though you don't know the person. So it's like the FBI does a profile on a possible criminal. Well, we can do a profile on the person who reads a resume. And partially you're going to use my knowledge as a hiring manager and my extensive experience successfully getting jobs at Boeing, Microsoft, IBM, AT&T, Nike, lots of different companies. So we're going to want to know who's the reader, what's the reader's situation, what do they hate, what do they fear, what do they love, what are the reader's questions, what's the order of priority for the reader's questions. Then they're only going to give you 6 seconds to convince them to stay. Why? Because, as we said, we know some things about that person. So I'm going to talk about that next. Hang on. We're going to go to another document. Here you go. What do we know? We know this person's very busy. They're a woman down, man down, you know? That's why they're talking to you or looking at your resume. They need to fill a spot, but that's not their regular job. Their regular job is to keep the operation running. So they're pulling away from their regular job when they're down a person and they're looking at resumes. Now we know they also hate reading resumes. Why? Because resumes are full of noise. They're full of claims. I'm a self-starter. All these things which you should never put on your resume. You don't say, I am this, because that's just your opinion and they don't listen to it. Why should they? Everybody says they're these things. So they get tired of hearing it. Now, they're worried about wasting time. Their very first question is, am I wasting my time looking at your resume? So you got to clear that issue up right away or you're going to lose them. So you may not be interested in the job. They need to know you want this job. And they are not interested in anything else about what you want because they're not there to take care of what you want. They're there to take care of what they need. And they're looking for evidence that you have the skills you claimed. And they're looking for an objective basis for belief in your competence, not your claims. They're looking for evidence. So you can give fake evidence and you let them make the conclusion, they'll believe you. But they won't believe your conclusions that you offer because you're not an unbiased witness. They're tired of dubious and subjective claims. I think I already said that. Okay. So here are the questions you have to answer in the order that I'm giving them, because this is the order of importance to them. Does this person want this job? That's in your objective. Is this person a credible candidate? In your objective. Does this person have the key skills I need? Skills come before experience. Why? Because they're going to look on the experience to confirm you have those skills. Remember, they're not hiring your education. They're not hiring your experience. They're hiring what you can do for them, and your experience is confirmation of claims. Okay? And you have been told that you're supposed to show quantifiable effect of the things you do. That's BS. Most of the time, there is no quantifiable evidence of performance. Not for you personally, it might be for your group, but not always even there. And sometimes it's not good quantifiable data. I mean, it's accurate, but it's not good news because your team didn't do great. And that doesn't mean you didn't do great. So that's the life of real people. So somebody who told you you're supposed to put statistics is begging you to lie and make up numbers you don't have. And employers are not fools. They can see through that. So they're going to look for the experience that's verifiable. If you worked self-employment, please don't show 3 things at the same time. It just means none of them are substantial, okay? So may only have 1. If you have 3, just show 1 of them. And then they're going to ask for the education. So you notice it's objective, skills, experience, education. By the way, those are the only headers you should have. Okay, so it's this process of understanding your reader that's going to inform how you create a resume, not what some nuts tells you, like these people at schools who are suggesting you put your education at the top. As I said earlier, you have to use your head and ask the question, why do you think I should have education at the top of my resume? What's the advantage of that? So we'll talk about things you shouldn't do on your resume next. Okay? Thanks.